Hello, my name is Dide Gülneval Yazar, and I'm a second-year physics student in Bilkent University. Today, I will be presenting you my PHYS-211 project, observing and analyzing laminar, transitional, and turbulent flow within pipes using particle image velocimetry. The aim of this experiment is to examine the behavioral differences in the flow types. To do so, we will be using the concept of Reynolds numbers. The reason why we choose this experiment is our curiosity and wish to know better about fluid dynamics. Navier-Stokes equations are the roots of fluid dynamics. In the main root, Navier-Stokes equations are Newton's second law's reflections into the fluid dynamics. Even though these equations seem relatively complicated and hard to process, for specific systems, these equations can be simplified down. And for our systems, which is a Newtonian fluids, isothermal and incompressible, these equations can be simplified down to that formula. And when that formula is investigated, an dimensional parameter occurs up. And this dimensional parameter, which is Reynolds numbers, is detectors for fluid types behaviors. According to Reynolds numbers, fluid types can be categorized down in three different regions. One of them is laminar region, which is for Reynolds numbers smaller than 2000. For laminar region, the flow is more orderly and smooth. The other one is turbulent. Turbulent flow occurs when the Reynolds numbers is higher than 4000. The turbulent flow is generally more randomly and disorderly flow. And lastly, transitional flow is the flow that carries both of the aspects of the two flow types. It's an intermittent. These flow type effects will be investigated in our projects. This is our experimental setup, and we made observing possible by the injection of colored fluids from the middle of the pipe. We estimated two different bottles for evacuation and filling, and a water dispenser for providing smooth flow. For change in Reynolds number, we mainly used three different methods. One of them was to change the fluid types from oil to water. The fluids, oil and water used because their dynamic viscosity are significantly different. We also changed the pipe size from 12.5 mm to 25 mm. And lastly, we changed the flow rates by changing the water dispensers and using tap for water inflow systems. After the experimental part was completed, the analysis was started. We used MATLAB-based PHYLab for analysis. From PHYLab, we get the velocity graph for each of the type of the fluids flows. When we consider these graphs, we can make several deductions. For turbulent flow, we can see that the velocity vectors are in each direction as expected from the turbulent flow. And for laminar flow, it can be seen that the velocity vectors are more condensed in the x direction as it's expected. But there are some y components which are erroneous. And for transitional flow, there can be seen that both of the aspects of turbulent and laminar flow can be observed. And then we used COMSOL to simulate our experiments. We simulated so that we can also observe the near surface boundaries, because in our experiments it was impossible to observe the near surface boundaries. These results also help us to check once more our experimental results, so strengthens our experiments. As a result, our experimental parts can be said to be successful, because when the experimental results, observed results, are compared with the Reynolds number expected results, they were inconsistent with each other's. But for the analysis part, especially in the analysis of laminar flows, there are really severe errors. These errors caused by the processing of the program, the low quality of the recordings, and the nature of the laminar flow that doesn't allow us to observe it. But from visual observation, it can be said that the error is caused by the analysis of the program. Nevertheless, the PIV lab program was helpful to understand the velocity vectors better. And finally, the COMSOL program was helpful to understand the regions that are not observed via our experiments. Thank you for listening.